Hi, this is Ninja2Dan covering 7.62 high caliber, and for this guide we're going to be covering explosives and demolitions. Generally there are two types of explosives and demolitions, one of which is going to include radio controlled or remote controlled explosives. The other one are going to be non-remote, which are character activated tripwire type devices, mines. As far as the generated types, you can see here we have a standard tripwire kit. This is something you can purchase from different vendors. Sometimes you can also find it in the backpacks of enemies, but very rarely. Generally though, you purchase it from a vendor. There's a handful of different types of hand grenades that can be attached to it. You simply take the hand grenade, drag and release it on top of the trap kit, at which time your character will then start assembling it into a trip. You need to be careful with any of these actions, anything involving explosives. If they're performed by somebody without a decent demolition skill, they could blow themselves up. Once you have it in your hand, if you go ahead and choose Set Mine, you will then set it. Mines will have a flag icon. Because your team is aware of where it is at, you cannot set off your own devices. The other type of mine can include the Black Widow, which is a fairly larger mine, while the tripwire kit is going to have the same capabilities as the the grenade that is attached to it. Mines have their own specific stats. This one, for example, is going to have a 250 fragment count with a radius of up to 20 meters, and it takes 15 seconds to activate. What activation time means is that once the mine is placed, which he did not pass the check, and it caused him to detonate the mine while placing it. That in turn caused the game to crash, which again is an example why you are supposed to save frequently. Okay, let's try that again. So we go to place the grenade or mine, and now it is set. You'll notice that there's a green countdown timer appearing over the top. That is the activation time. Once the counter goes down all the way, that mine is now active. Again, friendly forces are aware of the mine's existence. They are unable to trip it. Another type of landmine that is not encountered as often is the M86. This one has a much greater fragment count and also a much greater activation time. Again, you will see the countdown timer starting. One thing to note is that with any traps or explosives, if you hold down the control key, you're able to see any objects on the ground that can be picked up. While mines are highlighted, selecting over them allows you to clear mines. Again, as long as they have a high enough explosive skill, they will clear them, pick them up. If they do not have high enough skill or they pass the check, instead of picking up the mine, you'll be picking up pieces because they will cause mine detonation. And another non-activated mine is going to be the Claymore clone. This one's Mon 50, so this one is directional. Fortunately, I have not been able to figure out how to actually aim these. So when you go to set the mine, you can't actually hold and drag a cursor off to the direction of it. That time it placed it in the direction he was facing, so normally haven't been able to get him to do that, so maybe I have to move him to a point before he actually places it. So again, all of those mines, they are marked because they are landmines. The other type of explosives that you have are going to be remote. The remote controlled explosives come in a couple of different styles as well. Basic is going to be the C4 charge. In reality, C4 doesn't have a fragmentation effect. It's just going to be a blast and cutting effect. This one actually has 200 fragments. So as far as the game goes, just imagine as if the C4 was wrapped in some kind of fragmentation covering. With these, setting them is a little bit different. As you're going to see, it has channels 1, 2, 3, and 4. That corresponds to the channels on the remote control. So as you can see, the remote control has 4 buttons on it, one for each channel. Whichever channel you go ahead and set these to is going to correspond with whatever button. The mine will only detonate when that specific button is pressed. So the small charge we just set was for channel 1. Here we have a claymore. The only difference is this one is remote control. In real life, we do not use remotes. Our claymores will be using clackers and a wired cap. This one we will set on channel 2. One of the very large, very uncommon, and extremely powerful remote devices are these demo charges. You can see the frag count is 500 with a frag radius of 30. These are very, very deadly. These will jack up your target just about anywhere. We'll go ahead and set that to channel 3. Again, you can see where those items have been placed. Because these are not pressure sensitive mines, they are not going to be showing up with the mine flagging. So the big boomer is going to be on channel 3. And we'll go ahead and come back down here. Now, as I mentioned, with the landmines, you're not able to set them off by yourself. There is a glitch. I do not know if it has been fixed yet. Probably not. But when the enemy sees a mine, there's a very good chance that they'll actually know it's there. Once one enemy knows it's there, they all do. So, for the most part, use of pressure initiated landmines is pointless in the game. The only time you'll ever be able to get them to work properly is if you drop them into a spawn point, because when an enemy spawns into the game, there is a split second or so before the enemy's AI kicks in. So technically they will be standing on the mine without knowing that it's there, which means that the mine will be able to detonate. The other thing you can do is kind of a exploit. Again, the enemy, knowing where the mine is, if they step over it, it will not detonate. So let's just say an enemy coming from this direction was running. You saw them stepping on the mine. Mine doesn't detonate. All you do is pause game, quick save the game and then do a quick load. When you quick load the character, the enemy will be over the mine. But because you're loading the game, the enemy eye has that split second before it initiates, and so for that one split second of the load, the enemy is not aware that the mine is there, therefore they cause mine detonation. So if you are placing regular landmines and having trouble with the enemy actually getting to trip them, simply quick save, quick load while the enemy is over the top of the grenade, or sorry, over the top of the mine. It sucks having to do it that way. It's just been like that since the game very first came out. So again, we have 3 different devices that have been set with the remote control. Over here is a C4 charge, over here is a Claymore, and way back down there is the big baddie. Again, when you're setting the mine, you will set it to correspond to a specific channel. We didn't press anything to be set with channel 4, so when I click the channel 4 button, nothing happens. The C4 charge was set for channel 1. Pressing it causes it to detonate. The Claymore, which is a directional, was set for channel 2. And a big boomer was set on 3. As you can see, the blast and everything was quite a bit. So that is generally how the remote control works. You obviously cannot use any of the remote controlled explosives without the remote control itself. One thing I personally do is in my vehicle I will carry a rucksack, and inside of this rucksack I carry a mixture of different command detonated explosives along with a spare remote control. If I get onto a map sector where I have time to set up, if I think I'm going to be using any of these devices, I'll go ahead and pull a bunch of them out of the bag. You can then load them into your character and then throw the rucksack back into your vehicle. This time I'll set a couple of multiple charges on the same channels so you can see what that does. So there we've got one on channel 1. Here will be another one on channel 1. And for just the hell of it, we'll go ahead and do that one on channel 1 as well. And we'll then place a couple out here. These will be our goodbye guide is finished type. Make sure it's set to the right channel. So again, channels 3 and 4 did not have anything set. Channel 1, all devices go off at the same time. And because this is the finish of this guide video, we'll go ahead and light off part 2. So that's it. Game is pretty much locked up. We did a no-no.